Hello everybody and welcome to another top 5 board gaming video. Today we're going high tech with 3D printing. That's right, we're going to talk all about that extruded plastic goodness that can make anything and everything you have ever imagined. So in this particular case I wanted to focus on things that we can put into board games to make the games easier or better to play overall. Sure, you can do things like upgrade components and stuff like that just to make them look nicer, but the ones that I have picked are not about aesthetics, but rather about the actual gameplay in general. So with that though, I am curious what you guys have to say. What do you think of 3D printing in general as far as board games are concerned? Is it something you've done before? Is it something you're interested in? Or is it something that you're like, nah, I'm gonna use what the manufacturer recommends and gives to me? So let me know anything and everything in the comments below. You know I love to hear it all. But with that, we're gonna jump right in with my number 5. At number 5, I've got Deception, Murder in Hong Kong. There's a nice thing on Thingiverse where you can allow the storage of all of the evidence in a nice little standee so that everybody doesn't have to kind of lean over and try to look at the flat table. It makes it a little bit easier to do. That said, it's really low on the list because it can be hard to do, especially if you've got people sitting around a table, because you have to keep rotating the thing. But even so, it does make things overall a lot easier, especially with a game like this where you need everybody to be able to see things relatively easily. Deception, Murder in Hong Kong, and the little standee, my number 5. At number 4, I've got City Skylines and the aforementioned skylines of the city. There are 3D printed models of the actual cities that are normally in cardboard that have been endorsed by the company that allow you to have a 3D model of the actual city. And in general, this really is more aesthetic than it is anything else, but at the same time, it does really get you more immersed in the game, in my personal opinion, because you're seeing the actual city and its growth and all of this kind of thing. And it's just kind of a cooler thing to see, but that's why it's so low on the list, just because it is much more aesthetic than it is gameplay related. It is still very cool, not to mention having the endorsement from the creators is kind of nice. City Skylines and the ability to have the actual skylines, my number 4. At number 3, I've got Eclipse. This is one of the hardest games to keep track of because there are so many tiny little tokens that every single person has to have, and there are some great player boards out there that you can 3D print to hold all of your little technological advancements and all of that kind of thing in one nice place and keep everything nicely organized. I absolutely love it. I personally do not have them, but I will probably get somebody to print them for me so that I can have them, because honestly, it is one of the most frustrating things about this game, especially because the little tiles are so small. It drives me absolutely insane. Eclipse and the actual little player boards that you can get, my number 3. At number 2, I've got Acquire. As many of you know from watching my previous videos, one of my biggest gripes of this version of the Avalon Hill game is it's not like the original Avalon Hill release that has the little tents that actually keep everything in place. Instead, this is just flat cardboard that you put flat cardboard pieces on top of. It is way too easy to get things shuffled around and moved around and bumped and all that kind of stuff, but you can 3D print something that actually holds everything in place, and it makes it so much easier. And it's not quite as good as the original with the little tents and big things, but it does make things worlds better. It's absolutely amazing. I really love it and I have to get it. Acquire, and the board for the actual company's my number 2. At number 1, I've got Terraforming Mars, and specifically the player boards. As anybody who has played this game knows, the player boards for this game are horrible. Just like with Acquire, everything is slip sliding around. You've got cubes that you're kind of trying to keep track of, and it's way too easy to bump them and move them and all that kind of stuff. There have been a lot of different ways to fix this, from having little acrylic shields on top of them to having our full-fledged 3D printed boards. I love these little 3D printed boards that you can put the little cubes on. It makes it so much easier to play. It is so awesome. I absolutely adore them. And the problem is, I'm kind of upset that it hasn't been done previously and that it wasn't part of the original game. In addition, I personally have 3D printed versions of all of the individual tiles that you put down all around the board. That is obviously very aesthetic, but they do look really pretty. So you know, you can take that or leave that. But the player boards for sure for Terraforming Mars, my number one. Well, everybody, that's going to be it for me. I hope that you enjoyed this top 5 video of my favorite 3D printed stuff for board games. Now, the thing is that Thingiverse is literally a huge verse of all sorts of different stuff that you can do and have and make, and you can even design and make your own stuff for any board game at any time. Anything can be enhanced, anything can be made better, any components can be replaced. It's absolutely ridiculous. And so I'm really curious what you guys have to say. Have you used any 3D printing in your games? And if so, why? Have you done it just for aesthetic purposes or for gameplay purposes? Let me know anything and everything in the comments below because I love to hear it all. That said, as always, please take a look at my social media pages if you haven't done so already, where you can interact with myself and my channel in a whole bunch of really fun ways. And of course, if you're still in quarantine and as we're still fighting the COVID pandemic, please stay safe, stay well. Keep fighting the good fight. We are on the downswing. Hopefully, we just need to keep it up for a little bit longer, and hopefully we'll have at least something more reasonable relatively soon. But with that, thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you next time.